Hello and welcome to our show. My name is Iman and this is Chronic Ailments and Scientific Nutrition. We bring you nutritional solutions based on lab analysis for greater health. I'm a clinical nutritionist. I have a practice in San Rafael, and the name of our show today is Nutritional Testing for Disease Prevention and Foundational Healing. We do this for individuals, kids, families, and pets because everybody could benefit from natural health. And our goal is to bring this to you to show you how to do this. And so how we do it is we use natural medicines such as these, state-of-the-art cellular healing supplements and nutrition and lab analysis tied together to bring you the science that helps your body heal itself. And using nutrition as medicine, we give the body the molecules, the wisdom from the earth, the plants, the animals, and the ancient herbal systems to heal the body integrated into greater health. So we all have heard how to stay healthy. What does that mean? We've heard eat right, get enough sleep, balance your stress, avoid harmful substances, protect your hormone health. But what if you can't? Because we don't live in the same world as our grandparents or, generations before us. And we used to hear these things like, my grandmother or my grandfather would eat anything they wanted. They would smoke. They would stay up all night. They would drink. They would party. I mean, we all heard these stories. Depending on who we are talking about. And they lived to be 90, so what's the problem? The problem is not so much as the genetics that we have now, but the epigenetics, and that's our environment. We don't have any control over the toxins that are rained down on our fresh fruits and vegetables and on our land and in our water. And generationally, we inherit certain weaknesses now that we never had before. So what can we do to protect our health? Well, we need to eat these healthy foods. We need to have a balanced life. We need to do everything we can, but sometimes that's not enough. One thing we can do, though, is we can be very careful about buying organic if possible. Here's a little tip. You can soak your fruits and vegetables in a solution of 1 teaspoon of a vegetable wash or a teaspoon of hydrogen peroxide to 1 gallon of water for 10 minutes. And this will remove molds and fungicides and pesticides and herbicides and parasites. So you soak it for 10 minutes, then you rinse it in clear water for 10 minutes, and then you enjoy. And so we have little natural ways that we can combat our environmental stress. We can change things, but what about our digestive systems? What about the stress that's been put onto our bodies day after day, month after month, year after year? I can say now that I'm in my 60s, I am healthier than I was as a child. I had this little joke that I was weaned on antibiotics and allergy shots because I was allergic to everything. I couldn't eat anything and I was always sick. But now I have better health because I learned how to do it. I learned how to do it the natural way. And one of the things that I can say is that I can thank my brother for that, bless his heart, who died of cancer at a young age and got me interested in nutrition. So one of the things we know now, and science has proven this, is that our gut is like our second brain, and 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So when our gut's on fire, we're just not doing something right. We're not eating something right, we're being exposed to something, our digestive system is off. It's affecting all the hormones and the neurotransmitters that go in and out of our brain. We get a leaky gut problem. That affects our hormone function. Lots of things interfere with the health of our natural body systems. So what is leaky gut and how does it play a big part in our health? Because we've heard a lot about it. It is when the tight junctions in the intestines, the small intestines, allow substances to go into the blood that are undigested. So now you've got these molecules in the bloodstream that are looking like toxins, and so your body shoots little blast cells and antihistamines against them. They become little toxic substances or proteins that your body can't handle or digest, and it creates inflammation. So we're going to talk up a lot about inflammation and what we can do naturally about that in the next 20 minutes or so. But in the meantime, we have these things. We have these stomach aches, these leaky gut, we have lots of gluten sensitivities, celiac disease, food allergies, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, GERD. All these things are symptoms of our environment, our diet, and our body's ability to handle it all. So what is the gut-thyroid connection? That's another aspect of it. Because our thyroid function is directly related to our hormone health and to what we put in our body, and the inflammation that we have, our level of inflammation will also affect our thyroid, as well as the leaky gut, and creates our immune system dysregulation. So our hormones aren't talking to each other anymore. And that's a large problem. So pretty soon our natural healing system of our body just begins to collapse. And sleep is one of the best ways that we can combat stress in our life, yet this kind of stress on our system just affects our ability to get a good night's sleep. So we want to sleep like a baby, but sometimes we're overloaded with, for students, with studying and working, and, by the time some of us get to the office or we get past being a student and into our careers, our adrenals are shot. They've been overworked, overloaded, and they have not been able to keep up with the hard pace of stress that we've put on our body. So maybe you haven't gotten to this point yet, but if you have early warning signs, like you're tired in the morning, you have fatigue after meals, fatigue in the mid-afternoon is a sign of adrenal fatigue, any kind of fatigue in an abnormal amount that isn't refreshed by sleeping or resting or recreation, a feeling of heaviness and sluggishness in the body, a sudden fatigue that comes on that may lead to a cold because we don't recognize the symptoms and the need to rest, energy weakness in the back of the knees or the back, fluid retention, headaches, and the most common cause is stress. Stress, fatigue, overwork, and we have a blood deficiency that creates headaches. We're just not getting the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. So that leads straight to cellular inflammation, like we mentioned, and every cell in your body has this membrane that lets nutrition in and brings toxins out. And this membrane needs to be healthy, and we feed it by healthy fats. It's a biolipid layer. It needs to be maintained like that. But to be in peak working order, it has to be stress-free. We have to keep ourselves stress-free because we want to keep our brain stress-free, our body stress-free. We want hormones that work. Otherwise, we get inflammation on the membrane of all these cells, and we can't make this ATP for cellular energy. That's the thing that keeps the body going, that keeps the body cooking, that gets the adrenals enlivened, that keeps the hormone system going, that helps our thinking, it keeps us from having that foggy brain and poor memory. And if that doesn't happen, this whole process doesn't happen, we're also not making intercellular glutathione. And we have a drop in B12 and methylation in the cell. And sometimes we get into a cycle called the Ono cycle, which our cells can no longer detox, meaning these toxins can no longer come out and the nutrients aren't coming in because this membrane's drying up. It's just stressed out. And what it really needs is good nutrition, the right nutritional substances, but we have to know what that is. Each one of us is different, so we want to test for that. So we got to stop the inflammation first. And those symptoms that we were going through, especially the ones with blood deficiencies, where you get headaches, especially the ones that are helped by sleeping. You have a headache and then you sleep and you feel better. You're retaining fluid in your body. So just to review this, we want to make sure that we know what our signs of stress are in the body. And the top 5 stressors: our work, our diet, our health, toxins in our environment. We can't do anything about these. We have working relationships and relationships that can cause us stress. We have toxins. Sometimes we're eating fast food. We're on the run. We worry about money, family issues. All these things are stressors, and the body can't tell which stress is the most, but it can tell that it's under stress. So it creates a lot of factors for our health and our ability to maintain good health. So these mental, emotional, and physical stresses contribute to our financial worries because we're not handling things right, or our ability to sleep. We become more exhausted. Sometimes we're eating sugar, we're taking in too much caffeine, or we're smoking. And our adrenals, these little guys who are trying to keep us in balance, can no longer regulate the hormone function in our body because they're too busy just keeping us going. So stress can cause thyroid problems regardless of the cause, and balancing the adrenal function helps the thyroid adapt. It's checked by a reverse T3 test that we can do very simply. Other causes of inflammation, as we mentioned, were toxins, but we didn't really talk about the bad fats. Hydrogenated vegetable oils, trans fats, and these vegetable oils, once you cook with them, are trans fatty acids. They become rancid. They're no longer usable in your body, and so these fried foods are very harmful. They're harmful in themselves because they oxidize so quickly, and they don't feed our cellular membranes the way we need to. And then, the chemicals that we feed our brain, the soda pop and the occasional junk food in the movies, contributes to the stress factors. So the toxic top 5 are within all those things we just talked about: PCPs and dioxins, mostly from even the foods that we think are healthy, contaminated fish and meat, our environment, dairy. One of the sources of lead in our life now is dairy, partly because of the toxins that the cow ingests from what it's eating, and partly because of what is being injected with, which is somewhat improved, but we still have to look at this. And so we still have milk and meat being tested for lead, amalgam fillings. The amount of mercury in a baby's brain at birth is the amount of amalgam fillings measurably in a mother's mouth. Now, there's a lot of arguments and controversy out there, so I invite you to go check the internet and see if you can find that study, because we don't have time to give it to you today, but it is true. The organic food is obviously better for us, but the toxins that we use to clean our house and grow our gardens are also affecting our health and our water tables and our environment. Our cosmetics, our perfumes, all chemical based, they all add up, and even the preservatives in bread. So we have heavy metals, we have plastics, we have dental sealings, the lining of metal cans, halogens, which are in fluoride and chlorine and bromine and found in water and bread and flame retardants. We are overloaded with toxins, and so we need to be strong so we can fight these things and bring ourselves to better health. Our body's like a race car, but most of us take better care of our cars than we do our body. If you brought your car to a mechanic and something was wrong, they'd say, okay, well, this perhaps doesn't work anymore because of this particular problem or that particular problem. Like if your lights go out, it could be a bulb, it could be an electrical problem, it could be many things, and a good car mechanic will sleuth that out. Often though, when we go to the doctors, we test ourselves for one little thing. We have, we feel like we have a sluggish thyroid. We get tested for our thyroid. We get a straight out simple thyroid test, and it might not be the root of our problem, and it might not even make us feel better. So at some point, we're not getting to the core, and that's what we want to do, is we want to get to the core of the healing. So it's really important to check your health status. And most of the time you're not going to get tested for blood tumor markers. And so one of the things about preventive testing we can do is we can look at some of these frequently used markers are included and can be included in preventative testing without even if you think you might be up for cancer. So we want to show you that this diagram here shows why some lab tests are normal, but you still feel sick, because they're showing you what the functional lows and functional highs are, and they're not giving you statistics based on healthy people's scores. So if you're testing for inflammatory markers and you're testing for things in the blood based on healthy people, you're getting a different set of statistics and ranges in your body. So here's an example of why we want to do that. These are my friends, the agouti mice. This one has been exposed to many environmental toxins, but mostly BPA plastic. And this mouse and its offspring used to look like this kind of a mouse, but due to toxic exposure became a fat yellow mouse called the agouti mouse. When given proper methylation and the right substances after testing, these mice began to look like their former selves, and so were their offspring. However, without this methylation and without treatment and without knowing what toxic substances were in their little bodies, they remained the same and they had fat offspring. So this often happens to us people. Nutrition can change our gene expression, whether it's good nutrition or bad nutrition, keeping us healthy or not. And so often we can just shed body weight simply by giving our bodies the right tools biomedically, individually for ourselves. Eliminating the toxins at a cellular level will bring you back to health. It'll maintain your proper weight. And so we want to test, and we want to get these lab analyses based on what health looks like and what a healthy picture would look like for you. So we use 52 different blood in one panel, and we compare them. So your future tests will be compared to your old tests, so that after you get your nutritional analysis based on this comprehensive test, we can check again to see how well you're doing. And using strictly nutrition, we always see an improvement. So here's an example of that. Here's this person's test. Over on this side, you can see that the scores look different than the second test over here, which was 4 months later. The yellows are precautions. Reds are, we need to treat this now because this is in a condition that's not good. And blue is what we call code blue. This is an emergency situation. If we don't do this, you could end up with a serious condition you may not recover from. So we want to look at a test, and we want to see what the test tells you specifically that you need to do. And by doing that, we improved this person in 4 months' time to the point where their reds were either gone or were yellows, which were the warnings, and almost all the blue was completely gone except for this one was red. So we've got this one that's a yellow now. We can do a lot with nutrition. It's really exciting. So preventive comprehensive lab testing tells you how healthy you are, what problems are you just beginning to get, what diseases you may have, what dietary and lifestyle changes you should make, and the supplements that you're taking, whether they're working or not, whether you have too many, whether you have too little. So many problems show up in the blood long before you actually feel symptoms. So this is why we can have you have a recipe for preventive health. And we can give you what you need to heal what's going on. And how do you know if you're really healthy? You can go online, you can check your symptoms and say, oh, I might need this supplement, I might need this vitamin, I might need to go and get tested for this or that. But you're shooting in the dark, and when we do everything all at once, you get a complete biomedical picture of you, and we include hair. So for a comprehensive test, we get urine, we get hair, and we get the 52 blood all at one. And then it goes into a computer. The computer tells you exactly what's going on. It analyzes it against thousands of healthy people's scores, and you get to see a nutritional picture of yourself and exactly what you need to do. So here on a hair analysis, this is a standard hair analysis from doctor's data, but we included it in with our testing. And up here you can see what the heavy metals are in the body. And once you get out of the green, you can see that there's a problem with too much. So you always want to have your heavy metals in the green area or not at all, preferably not at all. This one is showing that there's too high of silver, and so, you know, other things, lead, people have other things. And sometimes we see them off the chart, so we have to deal with those right away. Here, down here, it shows the minerals and vitamins, or the minerals that you need in your body, whether they're too high or low, or whether you have ones that don't belong there. So you want to be in the middle range here, and here's where the problem is. This person is a mineral deficient in many ways. You have many over on the left side, some excessive ones over the right side. But when we were talking about thyroid, one of the things that happens with adrenal and thyroid fatigue is that your thyroid can't hold on to minerals. And it needs iodine, it needs selenium, it needs minerals to function. And so that'll drop your thyroid as well. And you can supplement, but if you're still not getting the nutrition and you're not getting rid of the stuff that's creating the problem to begin with, the heavy metals and the other issues of deficiency, then you're still not fixing the situation, and you're only going to get worse instead of get better. So that's how we end up on a medical cycle that we can't get out of. The reason why hair analysis is so important is because every hair follicle is connected to an artery, and the blood is always casting off into the hair. So it's very easy to read. And we give a urinalysis. We can see exactly what the urine's casting off, and another little test, meta-oxy, we can see what your oxidative levels are, how much stress you have, and how well your antioxidants are working by testing for urinary malonaldehyde. This is important, this little test, because it's 50 times more accurate for this particular substance, which tells us whether or not you need some antioxidants or whether the ones that you're taking are working for you. So we want to start you on a cellular healing protocol that works for you. And we want to use nature's key products that are scientifically tested to create greater health and to correct the problems that show up on your blood work without having to use medications to do it. And so a supplemental program of this kind can address all kinds of problems. Cellular inflammation, gene expression. We were talking about how your environment creates toxicity in your cells, and it shuts off your hormone receptors, and they're no longer talking to each other. You have those adrenal crashes, that brings your thyroid down. There's a cascade, there's a hormonal cascade that we can prevent and we can fix. When your cortisol is too low or too high, either one, both, create a thyroid shutdown. So which is it? Are you having the right test? Do you know what your tests mean? So there's almost no way to know if you have an oxidative stress situation, inflammation, whether you're having hormonal issues on a total level, because all our hormonal glands work together, unless you get comprehensive lab work. And you get it done so you get a complete picture of yourself, and we know how to give you what you need. It's so important that you just start with healthy nutrition. It starts on the plate. Everything you put in your mouth, of course, is going to give you what you need in life to succeed with greater health. And so you want to eat those fruits and vegetables and proteins and healthy fats to keep your cells working properly. You also want to do the things to get rid of the toxins. You want to, make sure you wash those fruits and vegetables really, really well. If you can't get organic, use the solutions I gave you. You can go back and look at this program on my website, or you can see it over again on YouTube at Janar Iman, CNBA. So you can check the email, you can send me an email, you can call, whatever you'd like to get more information on some of the ways you can do that are really simple to bring you to greater health. I have an office in San Rafael, and I can also work over the phone. So I would like you to visit maybe my website. Think about what you can do, one small step at a time in your life, to bring you to a place where you are starting on a healing program. And it takes a little step every day. You don't have to do giant steps, but getting your lab analysis and getting a comprehensive picture of what's actually happening in your body that's biomedically individually you, and knowing exactly what you need to do to bring yourself to a greater healing aspect is the wonderful way we can use nutrition. And it's like I said, I'm in greater health now in my 60s than I was as a child. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened. And that's what we want. We want to grow healthier, not older. Oh, we're going to grow older, but we want to grow better, right? And we don't want to be subjected to a lifestyle full of medications, and we're in our retirement years and under or in the peak of our life. We want to have the health that we need to live our life to the fullest and be there for our friends and especially our families. So my name is Janar Iman, and I want to thank the crew of CM Squared for bringing us this show and the availability of their facilities. Without them, we can't bring you good information such as this to keep you vital. Visit my website, vitalnaturalhealthsolutions.com, and give me a call at 415-496-5205, or send me an email at janariman@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions and see what we can do to bring you to greater health. Thank you very much.